everyone, and welcome back to The Council. It is your girl, Cosette.
Lexi and Rachel.
And these are the seats we're going to stay in. We're going to not play musical chairs anymore. For the time being, we are sat. We are sat.
This is our spot.
And today it's a little bit of a spooky episode, and we have the lighting to match.
Ooh.
Today we're talking about the green-eyed monster.
What is that?
Which is our way of saying how to handle jealousy in dating.
Dun, 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 dun,
Dun. Jealousy, we've all felt it. We've all perhaps tried to make someone jealous.
Gross.
Disgusting.
Gross behavior.
So we're going to talk a little bit about jealousy and how it impacts dating and your relationships.
Oh,
and
man.
we are
I'm
very
gonna,
passionate.
I'm going to become so nervous during this episode.
So, ladies, let's talk about the last time we felt the green-eyed monster peering up.
Okay, you could go first.
Oh my gosh.
We're putting you on the spot this time, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like, as we all are, like, I think everyone has their insecurities. And so I think there are those girls out there that when you're out with your man, they will be a little bit too flirty. They will be a little bit too handsy. And maybe your man doesn't pick up on it because men...
I think women are more in tune to...
Yeah, women are more in tune to, like, I know what she was doing.
We know
I'm
when
a
they're
woman.
friendly and we know when they're, like...
Yeah.
We know what
There's
you're
a
doing.
reason behind it.
We know what
So
you're doing.
Yeah, so I guess there's been situations where, I can think of a story. This is, like, kind of recent. But,
Okay, I was wondering if you... Yeah, okay.
well, I'll just say in general, I think the last time I felt jealousy was when a woman was a little too handsy with my man right in front of me. A little bit too comfortable, a little bit too kissy.
Oh.
And I think that it's just, like, sometimes men will just not know what to do. And I think in this situation, he was just kind of, like, taken aback and didn't think I saw it. So I was giving him a hard time even though I know it wasn't his fault. And I was like, yeah, you like that? You like when she gives you a kiss on the cheek and gets all over you?
She gave him a kiss on the cheek?
Yeah. We won't get too much into it, but...
you need to listen to the snaps, girl.
yeah, girl, you're behind.
You behind.
But anyway, I think that, like, when... I know.
The
I know.
nerve.
The nerve.
Oh,
And
Lexi
so I
would
think
be swinging.
When something is like that, it's a little bit too much, like... I don't want to be made...
Okay, let me just ask this. Is this a girl that potentially would come back into, like, your realm? Like, is it a friend or was it a like, just answer me.
It's a friend of his.
Mm.
You know, I feel like you've had this too, where it's like sometimes the friends are a little bit too comfortable, and it's like, okay, now he has a girlfriend. There's certain respect that you show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that, like,
I've always
those
said to
are...
you girls, like, I know there's someone that hangs around Mr. Right that I'm like, I know what she's doing, and I don't know why, like, you're making me out to seem the crazy one, and I'm not, because I'm calmly telling you, hey, her behavior makes me uncomfortable because it's not just, like, friendly It's like crossing boundaries that either I've set or I think a relationship should have.
There's respect in
and,
there's
like,
girl
I think
code.
there should be yeah. So
also, you look so good right now. Like, you're giving such cool girl ass today.
thank you.
know,
Like,
right?
I'm so happy.
With your
Okay.
hair color.
Oh yeah, the hair color's new.
Yeah, we're not three blondes.
We're not three blondes right now, but I got on the bandwagon when everyone was going brunette. I was like, I have
looks
to
so
do this.
good.
I
It
have
looks so
to.
good.
But I'm so happy because this was all thrifted, and as soon as I saw these
Ooh.
jeans, I was like, yes.
They're
And
so-
I snapped. This is just a really big side note, but I haven't seen these girls in so long. But I snapped my friend a picture of these jeans. I said, like, I feel like I could style these. What do you think? And she said, I wouldn't know what to do with those jeans, but I feel like you could do it. And
if anyone
the-
can, it's Lexi.
they're like my favorite
True.
jeans right now. So yeah, I'm very happy.
That actually
with
is so, like, cool and creative.
them. Is it like
Look at those
and then when I
jeans.
found this top, I was like, perfect. And
Love it.
I
It
could wear
matches
them
so
with
well.
a heel out. I wouldn't wear them with a tennis shoe, and I wear them with a heel, and I think
Uh-huh.
it'd be like the coolest thing.
So
Absolutely.
cute.
So, anyways, thank you.
Anyway,
I
yeah.
feel like we're all delivering our own like we're all so specifically ourselves with our outfits.
we
right
are.
now.
I'm
I love
representing
this.
my German roots. I'm
Yes.
half German.
She's
and so-
German.
This is from my
Woo-hoo.
father.
I'm chill.
You're
I'm just
chill.
relaxed and pink.
She's a little
Well,
cutie.
so what time where you felt jealous as of recently? Not as of super recently, but just something that you
yeah.
can recount.
Well, I think specifically a time I know we mentioned together when we were out, and just a girl that I think gets a little too close. And it's almost now routine. Unfortunately, this is just a friend I know will be in the group, and that's okay as long as I'm able to have conversations about how I feel about it. But I have to remind myself, and Mr. Wright and I have kind of talk to each other about this, that like if I feel a certain kind of way, that first I should ask for a hug, because a lot of times when we talk about jealousy, it's insecurity within ourselves, and just addressing that first and saying
Yeah.
like, okay, I see what she's doing. Let me make sure I feel secure in my relationship right now and ask for a hug and feel close right now. And I feel a lot of the times that helps me calm down much faster than if I stew and fester on that jealousy, on that feeling, and then I end up retreating in myself, and then I end up walking away from the group, and I end up like, then it
Yeah,
turns into a mess. But when I'm like, hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable, I need a hug right now, and he gives me a hug, then a lot of the times I'm like, damn, like she
It's
can be looking
resolved.
all she wants, because I know at the end of the day I'll be able to pull his hand and we're going to go over here, or like
Yeah.
whatever. But and I was also going to mention this. I also feel like recognizing jealousy within myself, it feels if the feeling happens, it almost is like a whole week. It's almost like a whole segment of little things sparking my jealousy. And then there's moments where I'm like, the same type of action would not make me feel jealous, and I'm like calm and confident and collected. And then other times when I'm feeling just a little more down about myself, that something that I'm like, oh no, jealousy gremlins coming out. And then it is almost like everything
Yeah.
is like
Uh-huh.
that. So
When we're feeling a certain way, we pick up on every little move that like
a lot,
irritates
like
us, or
if you're
you know,
not in
makes us
that
feel
mood, you're
bad.
like, oh, I saw that, but I don't need to say anything. Like that's okay.
Was that
or
the
like
gremlin popping
that was
up
my
and then you
gremlin.
putting
That
him
was like
back
the
down?
monster ears
Yeah.
like coming
Do
out.
I say something?
Do I say something?
No, not
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Do I make a problem? No. And like, yeah, there's times where you're like, okay, I'm cool. That's fine. And then other times you see it and you're like,
You're like, that's not okay.
and
Yeah,
like everything.
Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla for sure. So I don't know. I feel that was a time very recently where we were out and I was proud of myself, but I asked for a hug and I was like, hey, this is making me feel uncomfortable. Like,
I'm proud of you too.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
literally.
I
That's
was like-
very mature of you to
I mean,
not
okay,
unleash the gremlin.
I was telling them what happened, and this girl put her hand on his
Yeah.
back, and I know it doesn't even sound severe.
Her
like,
boyfriend.
put
No,
her hand on her
but
back.
On her boyfriend's
continue.
back.
Yeah, but like, so all of a sudden I put my hand, because he was kind of standing in the middle of us, and he came over to me. He wasn't like chatting us both up, but like she's in the group, and all of a sudden I go to put my hand on his back, and I see, or I feel her hand. My face turned right to her, and
Yeah.
I think she I don't know if she realized she was putting her hand on her back or whatever, but she was like, oh.
It's
Like-
the feeling of putting your hand on your boyfriend's back and being met with someone else's hand already on their back.
In a
Yeah.
familiar, it wasn't a
Oh.
shoulder like,
Oof.
what's up,
Oof.
bud?
Yeah.
It was
fire
a
me up.
familiar spot where I was like,
That would fire
quickly,
me up.
I turned to her like, if you want to make an enemy out of me, this is the quickest way
This
to
is,
do it.
Yeah,
This
no,
is, like,
definitely. That's completely
oh
disrespectful.
yeah. And so like, I think after that, again, my ears were like, everything was like perked already. I was like, watch out for her.
Yep.
Watch out for her. So yeah. And I think also Mr. Wright was aware, because in that moment, it also, I want to say, like, this happened in a span of 5 seconds. Like, it wasn't just a minute of her doing this and Mr. Wright just being like casual. It was like he came over, she must have like did that, and I went right to do that, and I was like, oh, and then he was like, oh, that wasn't your hand, or like whatever, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
A lot of times the boy is just
Oblivious, like
Oblivious.
drinking, playing pool. He couldn't have cared less of what was happening. But then I think he knew my reaction, because he also was aware of my little green-eyed demon,
Yeah.
and was like, oh, okay, I should be more attentive to her because I already know she's on high alert.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which is also a good partner. Like,
exactly.
if
but
you
also
see-
she's in the wrong for that completely. Like,
thank you for
she's
validating
no,
me. That was,
absolutely
oh,
in
she's
the wrong.
whack.
that's why
Yeah.
when I just heard, need to catch, but I was like, when I heard that, I was complaining about a hand, like a back touch.
We'll go more into it off air.
Okay, but like that was the last time I felt it, and I felt like I was able to, relatively speaking, calm myself down much faster than in other scenarios where I've been out, where one time Mr. Wright, I don't want to, like, I'm not crazy. I'm prefacing that, but
we
like,
know you're not crazy.
thank you. But one time he comes over, and again, like just two different scenarios. One time he came over with some of his guys, like, oh, you have the same name as the bartender. And I said, excuse me, she has the same name as me. Like, no, you just met this girl. I don't have the same name as her. Let's
Yeah.
remember, like, and I said it like that. I was like, what the frick? Like, who is this girl? You don't need to tell me that I have the
Yeah.
same name as her. And my reaction there sparked, like, oh, now everything that I'm seeing, like, oh, he's talking to that girl at the bartender. Oh, he's that and that and that. And
Get into your head like
right.
crazy.
And I got into my head that way. So in this scenario, I was able to just like, hey, actually that was the time when we established the hug rule. Was after that.
I love that,
that
rule.
moment.
It's
Yeah.
like a little
It's just like,
nonverbal way
it's a
to
check-in,
reassure
like
each
saying
other.
like, hey, I feel myself becoming a little insecure right now, and I need you to hug me and just like remind myself that I'm with you, we're with each other, it's good. It's good.
100%.
So green-eyed demon comes up with
Green-eyed
me.
demon. What about you,
Yeah,
Rachel?
Rachel,
What
let's
is the time in
spotlight on you.
which you felt jealous recently?
I would say, me and my partner have been together for a good while now, like dating for a good while, and then officially, almost a year. And in regards to jealousy, there's this girl that always keeps on, popping up.
Why is there
They
always a girl
there's
popping
always a
up?
girl popping up.
She's
They're
always, popping up, but like it's more so frustration. Like, why doesn't she get the hint? And I know, like, this girl doesn't mean anything to him. Like, he could like care less.
And that's usually the case,
It
right?
just
Like,
happens
it's usually
that
with
she
that.
won't stop. So it's not like I'm jealous, because it's like I know that she is all the way down here, to my boyfriend, and I'm all the way up here.
Yeah.
So there's no comparison. It's just annoyance and frustration. Like, really? Like, you're messaging my boyfriend and he's not responding to you. Like, why do you continue? Why does it keep on
Yeah.
going? And it's just frustration, and like jealousy, would come if I wasn't told about it. I'd be like, you're making me feel insecure. Why aren't you sharing this stuff with me? But, that is, my green little monster is calmed when, because they did have a romantic relationship. Because they did have a romantic relationship in the past, all I ask is, if they reach out, just let me know.
Yeah.
Like we've been saying over and over.
And that's fair.
Be
That's fair.
transparent, be honest.
Absolutely.
And, you could never control who reaches out to you, but you control, your response back.
Yeah. I think we talk about the green-eyed monster as if it's such like an evil and bad thing. And I think we reference jealousy this way because a lot of times it does bring out ugly sides of us and it brings out insecure sides that we're not proud of. However, I do want to notate that jealousy is a good thing because it means you care.
Yeah.
A little bit of jealousy, I think, is very good for a relationship because I would hope that if a guy came up to me at a bar and started flirting with me, my boyfriend would be jealous. Because if he wasn't, then
I would want that.
Yeah,
then
does he even
doesn't
care
care.
about you?
Yeah.
I don't intentionally try to make him jealous ever, but I think sometimes we have those situations where unintentionally one of us gets jealous over something, and it means that you care. So I think that it's a good sign if your partner is jealous over something small, but it can become like a toxic power thing where toxic relationships will try to make each other jealous or flirt in front of their partner just to get them riled up, and
And
think
that's
there's
not
a
okay.
healthy way.
That's not okay.
Before we get into like healthy ways to deal with jealousy and how to like show jealousy when it is a good thing, I just want to say, like, when jealousy is used as a control mechanism, then it's not healthy. Like,
yeah.
I don't think there's a time when I'm jealous that I'm saying like, you can never talk to her again or you can't do this. Like, I'm telling you how I'm feeling. It's your choice in how you respond to that and who you keep in your life and how you show me that I'm
Yeah.
your priority. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it's about, and that's why jealousy comes out, and that's why insecurity happens. Is I feel like something in our relationship, I'm like, okay, I just want to check in again to see how strong we are.
Yeah.
Because when we're strong, when I feel like you care about me and prioritize me, it doesn't matter what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to like just check in there. But like when you're use jealousy as a like control tool to be like, oh, I saw the way he's looking at you, you can never talk to him again. You're like, okay, first of all, he's the security guard. I see him every day. Like, how can we instead change that to like, I will have to see him? How can we work on a relationship to make you
Yep.
feel more secure?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But because like, I think we've all been in a relationship where they use it and it's for things that I mean, nothing has even happened. And all of a sudden, it's like every interaction, every look, every smile is now this cheating, transgression, jealousy thing.
And you're gonna get
And you
yelled
become,
at.
yeah, and it's just so scary. And then they're usually like, okay, I'm not even gonna, I don't even want a guy number to pop up on my phone. Doesn't even
Yeah.
matter if he's my boss, if it's an uncle, like they're gonna just assume.
Exactly.
And that's when
worst.
it's just negative. That's when jealousy is
Toxic,
bad. But
unhealthy. Yeah.
like when you're able to address it and say like, hey, like I was feeling jealous back there, like, you know, I understand nothing on your fault happened or whatever, but that's how I was feeling. And you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, let me hug you or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Like, jealousy is a normal feeling and it's okay. That's why I keep saying I'm not crazy, because jealousy is normal. It's normal to experience it. And I'm really excited to get into like the healthy ways that we can just show and talk about it. And like, you know, those moments in a bar, in a like going out when other people are interacting with your partner, how you can be like, hey, what's up? Like, is it a glance across the room to be like, we see each other, we're good,
Exactly,
we're
yeah.
solid? Is it like you approach them and say like, hey, oh, who are you? Like, is it a more subtle way? Is it more of a outwardly way, saying like, this is my boyfriend, like, don't
Yeah.
talk to
There's so many things I want to say here.
yeah.
And first thing is that, yeah, like the thing we want to be careful with is that jealousy can manifest into a controlling mechanism or resentment and feeling a lot of animosity in your
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah. Anxiousness, anxiety.
Exactly, that's unnecessary, but like a small amount of jealousy, an average amount of jealousy is completely normal. And I guess also I want to say that I said previously that if you don't feel jealousy, it means that you don't care. And I guess there are situations in which someone is just extremely secure in their relationship, maybe if they've been together for 10 years and they just
That's
don't
true.
have any reason to be jealous. Like, okay, then maybe you have no jealousy and you still are in a healthy relationship. I would say a lot of us though have wounds from our past that makes it really difficult to feel so secure.
That's a great way to say that, is like, it's the unhealed wounds that we're still working on, the trauma that we're like still
Yeah.
processing, whether it's unfaithful partners
Yep,
or just
getting
trust
cheated
issues.
on.
Yeah, which unfortunately can lead into and bleed into your other relationship, and having a partner that understands that and like, hey, I'm jealous because of something that happened in my past and that moment reminded me of this. How can we move forward and talk about it? So I think like
Yeah.
you're right. Like maybe you're not jealous and that doesn't mean you don't care. But also if you're jealous, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person or that the relationship is doomed and unhealthy. Like it can be healthy too.
So yeah,
Too,
so how
too.
can we approach these conversations when we're feeling jealous in a relationship in a way that we're not like coming at our partner and attacking them? But I think the hugging
Never
is a
when you're
great
drinking.
example. Yep. Don't
Have
not
been there
bring up these
before
conversations
too.
when you're drinking.
Do not do it when you're drinking. It just nothing is happening.
Nothing good
Nothing
comes
good
out of it.
happens when having serious conversations
So,
and you're drinking.
Yeah, and I think that's also something that we establish is like, let's hug it out, finish our night, and in the morning if you still want to talk about those feelings, like, cuz sometimes it's a passing feeling, sometimes it's just a hug, sometimes you do want to talk about like, hey, this whole scenario really made me feel uncomfortable, instead of just,
Yeah.
you know, so save it for a morning when you're not drinking.
What
I
about
think that's
you?
my tip.
What about you, Rachel? How do you like to handle these conversations when you're feeling a little bit jealous, a little insecure in your
A
relationship?
little green.
Well, what I have learned, and has done me very well is, in the past, if I felt a certain way, I would not say anything. I would not speak up about it. I'd keep it inside me and bundle it all up. But now, literally, if I'm feeling a certain way, opening up and talking about it in the moment, because
I'm so proud of you. You do
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
And like, it is such a game changer to, feel a certain way and get it off your chest and have this emotion be shared instead of just, having it cripple you from the inside.
Yeah.
So like, if something's bothering me, I always try to be as open and transparent as I can. So just speaking up about it and bringing
That's the
it
first step, really.
to
is, like,
attention.
yeah.
Yeah.
speaking up about it. If you're just festering on it and becoming anxious, and that it really does. You can see it when it happens. You don't think like you're voicing it, but your whole body shifts in a different way, whether you notice it or not. And your partner is going to pick up on that. So if you're not talking about it, they're seeing a change that they just don't understand what is driving it.
Yeah.
And so like talking about it is the first step to like understanding that feeling that is happening inside you. So
Yeah, sometimes
First
your
step
partner
there.
doesn't even totally pick up
no.
on the way that your emotions
Feeling.
have changed.
Yeah.
I think I like to use humor as a way to handle the emotions, in a way to bring it up without it being so serious,
I
but
can
I'm
see that
still
from you.
able.
I know.
Yeah, like I
I
feel
see
like I
that.
make a lot of little jokes that are not necessarily not digs at all, but it's just the way that I find it's an easier, lighter way for me to bring it up without feeling like I'm making a whole thing out of
Again,
it.
which is also past dynamics that have also conditioned you in a certain way to
Yeah.
be like, I don't want them to feel attacked, or I don't want to feel like I'm bringing up an issue. Not that you're using humor in that way, but the little ways that we kind of train ourselves to like, okay, if I bring it up in this way, he won't feel like I'm constantly bringing up an issue, or like if I use it in this way, or if I say it in a tone like that. Our I think women in general, we are constantly managing how we're delivering a message because just society has trained us to always
Yeah, that's
be
true.
the happy, we're always okay people, and when we're not, we're like,
Happy
Uh-huh.
or
so
nagging.
like I'm still okay, but like let me talk about this feeling. Haha, it's all
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
So yeah, not that like you do it in that way, but like I see humor in that kind of way. Like, let me approach this. It's not as serious as something else. So humor is a good way of saying like you're not at blame. This is how we can talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like an example I can think of is, let's say, a hypothetical
Yeah.
example. Let's say that if I see like a girl's name popping up on his phone a ton and I don't know who it is and they're texting a lot, instead of like maybe sitting him down, which is something that I still also do, like I kind of flip between the two. Instead of sitting him down and
Keep them guessing.
yeah, making exactly, making the tone really heavy and being like, "Listen, I'm feeling insecure because I saw a girl's name pop up on your phone." Nothing wrong with that approach because I also do that approach sometimes, but maybe instead of doing that, I'll make a joke like, "Ooh, is your side chick texting you a ton?" And then like or like, "Oh, is that your girlfriend?" Like I'll make a little joke and then it can very lightly be addressed like, "Oh my god, haha. No, actually it's this girl that
He'll
is
probably
giving me a
open this,
recommendation for work."
yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, nice, cool." So
And
what's the
instead of
joke?
it being like, oh, you were worried about that, the green-eyed gremlin was coming out, you're like, oh, I played that off so
Yeah,
clearly.
let me see if I can make a joke that will just fill me in and give me that reassurance.
Which
that
is
I
what
don't
you
really
just
need to
need.
make
You're
a
just like,
conver-
I
yeah.
just want
Yeah.
to understand what that was. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. And then
it's not
or
about
like,
I just want to know. Great.
yeah.
Checked it.
Or like
Yeah.
oh my god, no, it's actually like my friend's friend who just
Yeah.
like asked for a recommendation for something. And I'm like, "Oh, cool." Like and then it doesn't and then my worries go away. I don't have to worry
Oh,
about it.
I mean, I think before we started this episode and kind of seen our agenda, I was like, oh, well, now when I see a name or something, I'm like, who's that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Let's just
now,
ask.
I'm
Let's
now
just
to
get
I'm
away
like,
from
oh,
it.
who's
Yeah.
that? And if they're not stuttering, if they're not,
Exactly. That's
right.
the thing. It's
they'll
a stutter.
be like, oh, this is the person I work with. This is what, like, they won't hide anything. It's very easy to see, like, oh, who's that? What's that? They'll tell you, like, oh yeah, it's this, instead
oh
of
my
like,
gosh.
oh
Yes.
my, no, it's a, and you're
It's
like,
a ooh,
oh,
yeah.
okay, well now I have a right to be concerned.
That will tell you everything.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
in a past relationship, I dealt with that a lot where I would try to make little hints about like, oh, like you started following 100 Insta models this week. Like,
Oh,
what's
no.
going on there? Like, was your account hacked or something? And then when you see them tripping over their words, that was an exaggerated example, but when you see them tripping over their words is when you could be like, I maybe
Oh.
just uncovered something or I maybe just caught you in something.
Yeah.
And then is where you could actually
Now you're
start
like,
to
hey,
let
Like,
that
why are you
day when I saw
stuttering?
that, yeah.
Yeah. Why are you stuttering? Why are you overthinking
Yeah.
your answer when it
Yeah.
should be something so easy?
Exactly. So we'll start with you, Rachel. What is a piece of advice that you would give to someone who feels like they are feeling a lot of jealousy in their relationship right now?
Someone advice that I could give someone who's feeling jealousy is, and I say it over and over and
Can I
over.
guess what you're gonna say?
Yeah.
Communicate with your
Yeah,
partner.
communication. And like I said, I was that girly that would not open up and like every feeling that I would feel, keep it to myself. But from experience, just open up because if you're going to be with your partner, like in the long run, you want them to know every single, feeling that you're feeling. Like you guys are going to be united eventually. And, if you're suffering, essentially he's suffering.
Mhm.
So
Usually there's an easy answer to it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually, oh, I agree.
communication.
Yeah,
That's a cornerstone of everything, really.
it is.
I think advice I would have is if this is a frequent feeling that you're feeling, it's not something that pops up, it's not something that maybe both of you aren't handling in a healthy way, I think you should really do some self reflection and like definitely communicate your feelings, but maybe even before you communicate to your partner, if this is something that's like reoccurring and you know that it's unfairly put on your partner, these feelings that keep happening, I think you should really challenge yourself to ask, like, what was it about this case that made me feel worried?
Yeah.
Okay, was it the way I thought my partner looked at her? Okay, like, how did I think he looked at her? Is it that he was ignoring me all evening? Is it like, it just often is something that within you that you should look at and be like, oh, I realized that I didn't like my hair that day, or I realized like I really just was feeling off. I didn't have a good day at work, or I didn't have this. Like, I felt like there was other triggers that happened. And I think when you do that, you just realize more times than not, the feeling is just coming from something else besides that outside trigger, and
Yes.
it's just like, if it's try to think about, like, if, hey, is my partner doing shady stuff? Because trust your intuition, trust your gut. But hey, are they doing something that they listen to every time you talk about a feeling? Now it's like, now it's just a girl that said hi, and you're like, who's that? Like, oh, the coffee girl gave you your coffee. What's
Exactly.
what was that? And now you're like, okay, this is turning into something else. And if you really want that relationship to work, you just need to do some internal thinking, whether that's through therapy, with friends. Like, I think you just need to do some self work.
Reflection.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Two things I wanted to say, which you already.
And I do that. Like,
Yeah.
so, like,
Exactly.
it's not bad. Again, it's not bad.
Something that you hit on was sometimes it is your gut. Like, sometimes if your partner, you have to think, is my partner making me feel jealous? Are they putting me in these situations over and over
Yes.
to play with my feelings? And so, like, don't always put it on yourself, because sometimes it could be
Right.
an indication that this relationship is just doomed from the start. But it could also be just insecurity from yourself. So
But yeah,
therapy,
trust your gut. Like,
trust your gut.
you'll know if your partner is doing stuff or putting you in these scenarios and they just don't care. Like, maybe you have brought up something that makes you feel uncomfortable and jealous, and they keep doing it. And they're like, you shouldn't feel jealous. Like, that's so stupid.
That's not a good response.
That's not a good response.
Mm-mm.
And they shouldn't be saying, like, oh, your feeling right now is unjustified and stupid, so I'm going to keep dancing with, like, out and do this because
Yeah.
I don't find a problem with it.
Yeah.
That's not a good partner for you.
It should be,
Yeah.
baby, I'm hearing you out. I don't want you to feel
Yeah.
this way. Like, I want to try to make you feel okay with this,
Exactly.
Right. So, again, trust your gut. If it gets to that point, do some self-reflection.
Agreed. Can you believe we're already at the end of the episode?
Well,
Time flies, I swear.
Time flies with you girls,
Time flies.
when you're having fun.
It
especially when the
does.
green-eyed demon comes out.
Yeah,
Yep.
so look out for the green-eyed monster. Keep him in his cage as much as you can.
I can.
Keep him tamed.
I can do
Because
it.
he comes out and he gets crazy.
Sometimes
Don't feed him after
Sometimes you
midnight.
Don't.
Yeah. Don't
That's true.
don't feed him out.
That's
midnight.
true.
That's true.
You'll be laying in bed late at night. You're like, so that other day when you're
His
like,
shadow is over you. Like
What?
he's coming out. But thank you guys for listening to this episode. Signing off. It's Cosette.
Lexi.
And Rachel.
Bye.